My name is Lauren Moore. I'm the president of the Atlantic County Economic Alliance. The Atlantic County Economic Alliance is a designated economic development entity for Atlantic County. We're a private nonprofit, and personally and for the organization, we're very excited to be here today. This is our first research field testing demonstration collaboration with a huge, huge company that you're going to hear about. In fact, $4.2 billion in revenues, that huge. So this is exciting that we're able to partner with Israeli Aerospace Industries of North America. And the reason that this is important to us, and everybody here that's local will understand this, about the reliance that we have on one industry. 60%, in fact, of our economy relies on tourism, gaming, and hospitality. 60%. So when the pandemic came, we got clobbered. Brookings Institute, Rutgers University, they all studied this. And we were the hardest hit county in the country. One of the hardest hit regions in the country. And one of the things that's imperative and why we're here today and why this organization was created is to diversify our economy. And I always remind everyone that these things take time. They do not happen instantly. And we've been working and working and working on this for the last, it'll be 4 years come June 1st. And I can't thank the members of our organization and all of the political and governmental support that we have. And you'll hear me, because I'm going to introduce the speakers and I'm going to interject some comments in between, here and keep things moving, of why this is important to us. I also want to stress, this is innovation, this is technology, this is research and development. This all fits with what this administration, Governor Murphy, is trying to accomplish. And we work very closely with the administration and all of our elected officials to help us advance our economic development strategy. And our strategy calls on working in the aviation industry. And why is that? And one of the reasons is where we're at, the Atlantic City International Airport. And who's next to the Atlantic City International Airport? The William J. Hughes FAA Technical Center. One of the largest laboratories under one roof in the world. And it's here in Atlantic County with a $1.5 billion annual economic impact. It's actually, their economic impact doubled in the last 5 years. And we like to think that we were partly responsible for some of that with what we're doing to build the aviation industry here in Atlantic County. The technologies that you're going to see today not only have application to aviation, and you'll see why it has an application in aviation, but also in a healthcare industry and travel and tourism industry. All three industries that are extremely important to Atlantic County's economy. So this technology has a broad range of application, and a lot of projects that we work on in aviation have a broad range of application to all of our industries, here. So, and the reason that, for aviation, we want to get people back in the air. We want to have more business coming through the terminal. We want to have more research and development coming here, and this kind of event to draw attention that we want to be the aviation research and development capital of the East Coast because of our proximity to the FAA, and Atlantic City International Airport is a smart airport test bed. And that means that we can do experimental research and development here. And all of our partners, I can't thank all of our partners enough. We wouldn't be here today without the support of Shelley Yack, John Schleifer, and Dr. Eric Niederman at the FAA. We wouldn't be here without the support of the governor and SJTA today. So that kind of support is so important to us, and we keep them all informed of everything that we're doing, because we can't do this alone. So without any further ado, I want to introduce Tim Kroll, who's the airport director. Tim?
Thank you, Lauren. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the South Jersey Transportation Authority and our Executive Director, Stephen Doherty, I would like to welcome you to Atlantic City International Airport. As Lauren mentioned, we've developed a great partnership in terms of aviation, in terms of business development, and technologies like this, so thank you, Lauren, for everything. In addition, our board, as Lauren mentioned, declared this airport as a smart airport research and test facility. What that means is we can test and demo technologies like you're going to see today from Israeli Aerospace Industries. You're going to see some cool technologies today that is going to help with the fight of COVID and making the passenger journey safer, because that is the biggest key in aviation right now, is how can we make sure that passenger feels confident in traveling and getting back in the air. At the height of the pandemic, we were down 95% compared to 2019 in traffic. At the end of this month, it'll probably be closer to 50%, so the recovery has started. And a lot of it has to do with different technologies and different efforts airports have put in to make that passenger feel safe. This airport received an accreditation. It's called an Airport Health Accreditation. It's a worldwide accreditation through Airports Council International. And that is the result of our plan we came up with to help fight the spread of COVID in airports and to also make that passenger feel as safe as possible. The technology you'll see today will assist with that. But what also happens is, even when COVID is over, there's still a need for all this technology. We don't know when the next pandemic's going to be, and our job is to make that traveling public feel safe, secure, so that they'll get back out there and travel. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy the demonstrations.
Thank you, Tim. As I listen to Tim speak, it reminds me also why we're here, about creating jobs, high quality jobs, tech jobs, research and development jobs. Our goal in developing this partnership with Israeli Aerospace Industries of North America and showing them our resources and our assets and our capacities here is that ultimately we want to convince them to have a presence here in Atlantic County, to bring high-tech jobs here, to put those high-tech jobs in our National Aviation Research Technology Park, which is right next door. And you pass the building, our first building, on the way in. Howard Kyle, who's the president of NARTP, is not here, but we have 300 high-tech jobs in our first building. We expect to break ground on the second building this year. And we just received a $3 million US EDA grant to support the development and construction of an $11 to $14 million second building. We are making progress despite the pandemic. We are pushing forward. And how we got here today is even more intriguing, of course, to me, because I was a part of it. But we wrote a 4-page white paper about how to make air travel safe using this type of technology and circulated it to the universe. And it got attention. It got the FAA's attention. Andrew Gross, he's here as the executive director of the New Jersey Israel Commission. The governor took a trip in 2018 to Israel, and we had this white paper in our hand, and we were working on federal legislation to drive research and development dollars here so that we could get some federal research dollars to attract companies like this here to do the research here. IAI contacted us. Came back to us through the governor's office and contacted us and said, hey, we're interested in your assets. And here we are today. So keep that in mind. We're building a second building. This technology you're going to see is fascinating of how it can disinfect large areas with a flash of a light when you say it. It's really, really interesting. And the Tamar, where it takes body metrics, real body metrics in real time to detect if there's some sort of health concern with an individual. And they did their field testing and demos here with all of our partners. So having said that, I'd like to introduce our next speakers. Secretary of State, Secretary Tahisha Way. What's interesting is that before I took this job, I worked in the Department of State. Worked in the state government for 20 years and worked for the last Secretary of State. Secretary Way, you want to come up and have some words?
You want to come over here because this is how we do it in the north sector of New Jersey. So good afternoon. It is such a beautiful moment being here with you. And I first want to thank the ACEA for inviting me and for your team's hard work in building this partnership we are witnessing today. I must also acknowledge my team at the New Jersey Israel Commission, led by Director Andrew Gross and Chairman Mark Levinson. Additional thanks to the Honorable E. Ty Milner, spokesperson and counsel for media and the Consulate General of Israel in New York, and all of my colleagues present from the NJEDA, Choose New Jersey, and our governor's office. Moreover, it's great to also see ACEA-IAI North America's president and CEO with us, the Lieutenant General Ted Bowles, and his colleagues who flew all the way to New Jersey from Israel, especially to oversee the demonstration of this technology, and of course, all of the guests. You are welcome here, and we are so excited about today. Now, on behalf of the state of New Jersey, I'm so proud to welcome Israel Aircraft Industries to the Garden State following over a year of engagement with the New Jersey Israel Commission. This is truly an exciting moment for our state as we welcome one of Israel's most iconic and historic companies here in Atlantic County. Today is also a testament to the strategic and integral relationship our state has with Israel. Just over a year ago, I had the distinct privilege to visit Israel with the delegation of my National Secretaries of State colleagues. Our visit included the opportunity to meet with Israeli businesses doing incredible things with tech. I see why Israel is known as the startup nation. And with New Jersey's own rich history of fostering innovation, it is patently clear that New Jersey and Israel have much in common and much to gain by working together. Right here at the Atlantic City Airport, we are seeing some of Israel's most cutting-edge technology being tested through these experiments and demonstrations. In doing so, we are laying the groundwork for new innovations designed to keep us safe, allowing us to return to commercial travel and bringing back our tourism. As Secretary of State, my portfolio is incredibly diverse. In addition to serving as the Chief Election Officer of the state, I oversee cultural commissions as well as offices focused on New Jersey's arts, history, and tourism. And speaking of tourism, you know as well as I do that this pandemic has disrupted this industry. In New Jersey, tourism is an integral part of our state's economy, especially along the shores as we are here. Just in 2019, we welcomed 116 million visitors, and tourism had an estimated $46 billion impact to New Jersey. So, I'm excited to participate in this demonstration today because I am eager to see our tourism industry thrive and people get back to traveling. This technology has the potential to help protect us from airborne illnesses when we fly. After living through this unprecedented year, who wouldn't want to learn more? In closing, I'm truly glad that New Jersey is able to partner with our friends in Israel to innovate around these critical needs. I believe there is no state more worthy of this opportunity, and I am hopeful that this will lay the groundwork for a relationship that will grow and strengthen in the years to come. Thank you all, and be safe.
Thank you, Secretary Way. As I hear Secretary Way speak, it reminds me about the innovation, R&D that we're trying to achieve here. And she really does. She oversees travel and tourism as well. I remember when we worked for the Secretary of State, they were right next to me there. Most of that $46 billion a year, by the way, comes from Atlanta County. Big chunk of it. Our next speaker is Andrew Gross, the Executive Director of the New Jersey Israel Commission. As Secretary Way said, Andrew has been absolutely key in getting us to this point with Israeli aerospace industries and helping us with international relations, as you can imagine, and helping right down to visas. I mean, the detail that went in to make this happen today was extraordinary, and we couldn't have gotten it done without the help of Andrew Gross. Andrew?
Lauren, thank you. Lauren, I just want to begin by thanking you and everyone at the ACEA who made this possible. This is some incredible leadership down here, and I'm so excited by what we're seeing today. Of course, I want to thank the entire team from IAI and IAI North America. Thank you so much again for being here and for partnering with the state of New Jersey and with our friends here in Atlantic County. I would be remiss if I didn't again thank Mark Levinson, who's here, the chair of the New Jersey Israel Commission, who's been an incredible leader in this effort. Secretary Way, we thank her, of course, for being here. I want to give a special thank you also to Rudy Rodas, who's here from the governor's office, for all of his support in making this happen. Without them, this would not be possible. Governor Murphy, as you heard, is a very, very strong supporter of our state's relationship with Israel and anything to do with innovation. And of course, our friends from the Israeli consulate, Itai Milner, who's here, thank you so much. You'll hear from him, I believe, shortly. The New Jersey Israel Commission was established over 30 years ago to oversee New Jersey's relations with the state of Israel. And it's the largest commission of the state, and it has a critical mission of being a bridge to all the technology and innovation that you're seeing today with our friends in Israel. Just over a year ago, and it's hard to imagine life over a year ago, but I was sitting in Israel with Choose New Jersey, again, incredible partners here, represented here today as well, and we were meeting with companies in aerospace, and one of them was IAI, and we were speaking about the critical needs of our state and the critical need to expand into aerospace. And what we see here today is a realization of that critical need. What we're seeing today is some of the best and most innovative Israeli technology in the world being deployed right here in Atlantic County. And this is extremely important. It's extremely important because it is supporting all the efforts that are going on here in this county, particularly in aviation, particularly in innovation, and we want to do everything possible to assist. I believe that today, with the arrival of IAI in New Jersey, and this project that occurred here, begins an extremely important and historic relationship that we, of course, would look forward to expanding. As was mentioned, Governor Murphy traveled to Israel in 2018, and one of the things that he did was he looked at UAV technology while he was there. And what better company to have right here visiting Atlantic County than a company that specializes in that very type of technology and aerospace. So again, we're here to bring great innovation from Israel. We're here to help reopen and restart our economy. We're here to support, as the Secretary said, our tourism industry. And as was said so many times today, the state of Israel remains a critical ally and friend to the state of New Jersey. We're so proud to have IAI here today with us, and I look forward to working with all of you here to continue this important relationship and deepen this partnership. So again, thank you, Lauren. Thank you to everyone here for making this possible.
Thank you, Andrew. You know, as I look around the room, you know, here I see Assemblyman Vince Mazzio and Assemblyman John Armato, and I got to thank them for their support as well, because, you know, a part of what we like to put a package together and a whole concierge service. On January 7th, just to remind everybody, the governor signed a new package of incentives, and a part of that package, thank you gentlemen for your support for that, part of that package included an aviation district, a special incentive for an aviation district, for us to attract aviation companies to our Aviation Innovation Hub, which is a mile surrounding the fence of Atlantic City Airport and the FAA. I can't thank you guys enough for your continued support with this. That package is so critically important to help us compete with companies that have locational decisions. And it puts us in a very competitive position, and Noel McGuire and I will continue to work on it. In fact, you know, one of the things I forgot to do was to introduce my team, and I want to do that real fast because I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Francine Palumbo for all of her help getting this set up today. There she is back there. Thank you very much, Francine. I see Noel McGuire, he's our Director of Aviation over here. He was the horsepower behind getting this all done today, and I don't know if Max Slusher, our Business Retention Director, is, Mr. Slusher's right there. The next speaker, Atay Milner. Atay, you want to come on up and say a few words? Oh, there you are. Here you go.
Yeah. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Madam Secretary and Assemblyman, and to my good friend Andrew Gross. I'm here representing the State of Israel and the Consulate of Israel in New York, representing New Jersey, also Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Ohio. And to be honest, it's the first time that I'm getting out of New York since the pandemic. I just arrived here in December, so that's a very good opportunity for me to visit Atlantic City. You know, as diplomat, we are very often invited to speak about friendships and special relations between our state and our hosting countries. But today we're not just speaking. Today we're actually seeing and witnessing the solid proof of this friendship. A solution that will help each and every one of us, and more than anyone else, the Atlantic County. You know, they said that friendship are being tested in time of crisis, so I guess this is crisis enough for everyone. And there you see the real friendship between Israel and New Jersey. We couldn't be more proud that the company that is doing that is the Israel Aerospace Industries, a company that is pretty much responsible of all of our life in Israel. It's a company that mainly is famous for developing arms, sophisticated ones. One is very known as the Iron Dome in Israel that protects Israeli citizens from rockets. But as we can see now, IAI took all of their innovative technology and transferred it into a technology to save lives, but in health. And I think more than anything, it shows an example of the Israeli spirit. The Israeli spirit is based on two main columns. The innovative spirit that we all have, and our dedication to make the world a better place. So I wish IAI and the State of New Jersey good luck with this initiative. I hope for all of us that it will work, because let's face it, we all need a vacation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Atay. You know, furthering partnerships, you know, is a $4.2 billion, you know, global company. You know, of course we did our research. They're in the business lines that they have, from UAS, which is unmanned aerial systems and drones, cargo conversions on aviation. We're hopeful to be able to showcase what we're able to do for IAI here and further our relationship and deepen our relationship, as Atay points out, into other aviation business lines to do that research and development here in Atlantic County. So we're hopeful that this is a stepping stone to bigger and more deeper things with Israeli Aerospace Industries. The next person that I want to introduce is very special. It's Chairwoman Brett Maddock. Brett, runs a business and runs the ACEA as the chairwoman, here. So she's very busy, very engaged, very hands-on, and without her guidance and advice to keep us looking forward and in our lane, it's just absolutely invaluable. But it's an important point that I want to make with our organization, is that we have the private sector on our board to make sure that we are focused on private sector interests and thinking outside the governmental box, which is why we're a 501c3. She was in this from the beginning when this organization was put together. And for her to be here today just really excites me to be able to see what she's been working on since 2015 to come down to working on technology demonstrations and creating high-tech jobs and building high-tech parks. Ladies and gentlemen, Chairwoman Brett Maddock.
Thank you, Lauren. It's very exciting to see how far we have definitely come since the very beginning. So it's historic. So good afternoon and shalom. As chairwoman of the Atlantic County Economic Alliance, I'm pleased to welcome you to the Atlantic City International Airport this afternoon. It's truly an exciting day and a culmination of months of dialogue and interaction between the Economic Alliance and the Israeli aerospace industries. As we can tell from the masks on our faces today, after more than a year or so, we are still struggling to recover from COVID, a plague that cost us so many lives and inflicted so much economic damage, especially here in Atlantic County. The battle against COVID continues, and it is the reason why we are here today. But more than 10 months ago, as the Economic Alliance was providing emergency assistance to hundreds of local businesses impacted by COVID shutdowns, our staff stopped and took a breath. They forced themselves to think ahead. They brainstormed. They asked themselves tough questions, and starting with, now what do we do? As many businesses did themselves. Our accomplishments leading into the pandemic were growing steadily. We opened the state-of-the-art active art aviation research building, and we filled it with 300 new high-tech jobs. And we were making plans to break ground on the second research building, which, as you've heard today, we've gotten a grant, and that will be starting. We desperately wanted to keep our momentum going, but we knew that despite COVID, other tough questions were going to follow. How do we recover? How will the pandemic forever change the future of the aviation industry? And it will forever be changed, as many other industries will forever be changed. Is there anything we can do to stay on mission, create jobs, and diversify our economy in Atlantic County? Asking and answering these questions prompted us to stop and pivot in a new direction. This direction is based on the notion that there is no better place than the United States to begin urgent research and development in making air travel safer from the spread of disease than the Aviation Innovation Hub here in Atlantic County. Atlantic County truly is a special place. Our existing aviation assets are simply unequaled anywhere in the entire country. They include the Federal Aviation Administration Technical Center and the nation's leading and largest aviation research laboratory. Most people don't even realize that right in our backyard we have the largest aviation research laboratory. Atlantic City International Airport, which has been designated a smart airport testbed where we are today. The NARTP Research Park, along with its partners, the National Institute of Aerospace, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, Stockton, Rowan, and Cape Atlantic Community College. And the on-site presence of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the Federal Air Marshals, and the Transportation Security Administration. We have so much here. And we are thrilled that IAI recognized many of these advantages and chose to come to New Jersey when they had many other options for testing and demonstrations in other states. As fate would have it, the Economic Alliance wasn't the only organization thinking ahead. And as COVID began more than 10 months ago, wreaking havoc around the world, 6,000 miles away, IAI was also thinking ahead in similar fashion. Like the Alliance, IAI pivoted and recognized the new technology might help us recover and reopen our economy. They apply their expertise in aerospace industry toward development of the Tamar and Granada systems, which you will see demonstrated here today. I want to offer special thanks to Governor Phil Murphy and Andrew Gross of the New Jersey Israeli Commission for bringing this collaboration between the Economic Alliance and IAI. IAI learned about the New Jersey Aviation Innovation Hub during a trade mission to Israel that we heard about this morning. So thank you, Governor, thank you, Andrew Gross, thank you, IAI, and thank you all for coming to Atlantic City International Airport today. It is now my distinct privilege to introduce you to Ted Balds, the Chief Executive Officer of IAI North America, based in Virginia. We are honored to have Ted with us here today. He is a retired 3-star Air Force general and holds a PhD in systems engineering. Ted, we welcome you and the IAI team to Atlantic County and to the New Jersey Aviation Innovation Hub. We hope you will consider us for more IAI research and development in the future. So thank you for being here.
Okay, we're at the home stretch for the talking heads. On behalf of IAI North America and our parent company, IAI in Israel, I want to reciprocate and thank you for everything that's gone on from the bigger state of New Jersey down to the ACEA. I mean, we have built a partnership that is strong and growing, and as I was standing there listening to people talk, I think it's gone beyond a partnership. It's now reached a friendship, which to me is something that's going to last for a long time. Secretary Ray mentioned it. Israel is sometimes referred to as startup nation. Let me put that in context a little bit because it revolves around the innovation, the innovative spirit in Israel. And this is from a February 2021 Bloomberg article where they ranked all the nations of the world in terms of innovation. In that article, Israel is 7th in innovation, number 1 in R&D, the 1st in researcher collaboration or connection, 5th in technology density, and 8th in patent applications. It's that innovation spirit that the nation has that finds its way to IAI, the largest defense contractor in Israel. They do everything from spacecraft, airplanes, surface vehicles, subsurface vehicles. If you want to think of an analogy, think of Lockheed. This is their version of Lockheed, only better. So it's that spirit of innovation that you're going to see today, taking what is a defense-focused company and answering the question in the pandemic, how can we apply the technology to help everybody? And what some of the things that everybody in this pandemic are worried about is, how do I know that someplace is safe, and how do I know the people I'm dealing with are not infected? I want to conclude with, maybe this is a little personal bias or personal, what we want to do here today, and I think we will do, is create buzz for this technology. That's pretty easy to do. The great scientists and researchers you're going to be introduced to will convince you of that. But secondly, I want this partnership to grow, because to get this technology into the hands in the U.S., we need a partner. And ACEA in our dialogue has demonstrated that they are that partner to go do that. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Ben Weiser. He's my VP for technical sales, to introduce the team and get on with showing you some great technology.
Thanks, Ted. So, as Ted mentioned, I think we are done with the speeches, and we are going to start with the technology demonstrations. First technology that is going to be demonstrated is the Tamar. It will be demonstrated by two fantastic people, Mr. Ilan Bublu, Senior Director in charge of the Tamar, and Ms. Felicity Kay, the Marketing Manager out of Eltel, a part of IAI. So after we do that, we will talk about the Granada, which will be demonstrated by Mr. Asaf Tamir on my left, who is responsible for the program management of the system, and Mr. Eyal Ziv, who is the R&D technology guru who is responsible for that. So without further ado, Elon.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Really, this is really honor for me and for us as a team to come here. You know, I looked last night online. New Jersey is about the size of Israel. The population is about the same. You have 8 million, we have 8 million plus. So something special going on here between the two places, and I'm really grateful for that. You know, as said, the ACEA Israel Aerospace Industries is the largest defense contractor in Israel. It's owned by the government. We have amazing employees and engineers, founded back in '53. We have 15,000 employees, and yes, we involve in many innovation technologies. And you know, back in the pandemic, we tried to see what is the main root cause for the issues we are showing right now. How we can make some of the things our life better. And we came to the conclusion, the social distancing, I mean, using the technology we have to create some application for this to the social distancing. So we are working in defense. We have airport security systems. We have systems like missiles and everything. But it doesn't matter. We took those technologies, those brains of the best engineers, and we asked them, let's find solution, for instance, the Tamar, that can identify a person, physiological signs from far away. Because what is the problem with the pandemic is the social distancing. So, you know, if you go today to do some check of someone breathing, a doctor will put his hand here on the chest and look on his watch and count. We don't need that anymore. If you want to check someone's heartbeat, you don't need that anymore. If you look going all over the casinos and you see those thermal camera, it's only temperature. Here we have a system, a multi-layer system that my colleague, Ms. Felicity, will give some information about it, that will do those analysis or this information from far, keeping the social distancing. And this is example of how we use the defense technology towards the civil aviation and civil application, which is a great thing. So thank you, and I don't want to take too much of your time. We'll go to Ms. Felicity, and then we'll do the demonstration.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Felicity. I'm the Global Marketing and Sales Manager for LTAL Medical. We're a subdivision of the IAI. We focus on bringing life-changing and life-saving technologies, such as the Tamar, to the world. And what I want to talk to you about today is the Tamar, this system, what it is, why it's necessary, and why it's necessary for beyond the pandemic too. So, first things first, what is this thing? Well, this is a remote, non-contact distance scanner. We're going to talk a little bit more about how it works and what it does in a second. But the big thing here is, you know, we come from Israel where we're constantly scanned for security reasons. When the pandemic hit, it was actually very interesting that people only focused on scanning people's temperatures. Now, there are several problems with this. First of all, because there are all these statistics online that say from the WHO, from Israeli studies, that the temperature is not the first thing that you see, that you detect when someone has COVID, okay? The fever comes as a response to the lung activity that doesn't quite function properly. And if someone's got a fever, let's say the 8% of people who display a fever, it's usually about 10 days or so after they've actually been infected. So this presents a massive problem. You're looking for the wrong things at the wrong people at the wrong time. So, another thing is, at the beginning of the pandemic, us, you know, the Israelis and worldwide, everyone was rushing to send their frontline medical staff in to check these potentially dangerous people. Now, if you're sending your frontline medical staff in, you're basically setting them up for a suicide mission, potentially, okay? If they fall, we all fall. Nothing is gonna get done if they go away. And unfortunately, a lot of them got ill and a few of them died. So what we started thinking was, how can we take all of the best of Israeli innovation? We're a startup nation. We're known for way more than just our hummus and our shawarma, okay? The startup stuff, and how can we marry it with our prowess in defense? And this is basically what we came up with. So what we have here is, I'm gonna take you through it a little bit. This is the Tamar. Tamar is actually named after an ELTA employee who, it was all over the Israeli news. She was very young, she was like 40 or something. She was a gifted engineer, she had 2 newborn twins, and she caught the virus very early on and died And it led to people like Ilan scratching their heads and saying, how could we have prevented this? What on earth happened that this happened? And this is what we came up with. So, what we have here, the Tamar, we have a military scanner, okay, that we've taken from military use and we've converted it to civilian use. With that, we've also got the thermal imaging camera and a laptop. It's a very, very simple device. And it does these two things. First of all, it's non-contact. As you can see, the lovely Eyal is sitting there, over there. He's like a meter away, okay, like 3 feet away. So not only would medical staff or whoever's operating this, which we'll talk about in a second, they wouldn't have to get anywhere near an infected person, okay? The person operating this doesn't even need to be in the same room. They can be in a different country. It can be operated remotely. Okay, so that's one. A potentially infected person is not going to infect anyone around them or the device itself. Genius. Okay, secondly, it's remote, as I said, non-contact. Now, a lot of devices say that they're non-contact, okay, but what that means is they're usually standing here, so there's no contact of like, I don't know, a few centimeters, okay? This is really no contact. You have someone rock up, they can stand, they can sit, very still, and you detect their their non-contact physiological signs, okay? Now, what we mean by that is, if you look over there on the main board, this is the very basic version of the Tamar, okay? This can go in any way, like direction, but these are the main things that we're looking for. At the bottom, the 36.7, that is the Celsius version of his body temperature. We didn't have time to change it to Fahrenheit, but don't worry, he's not clinically dead, just Celsius. And that's basically detecting from afar, okay? Because quite often the readings that you get from a forehead check and an actual basal body temperature are slightly different. So this is much more accurate. We've got the heart rate at the top. You can see there's like a 15 to 30 seconds time where it's detecting and calibrating. And then you detect his heart rate. The middle one, the yellow one, the respiration rate, that's the time that he takes to breathe. The respiration ratio in the purpley blue, that's how long it takes for him to take in breath and expel it, okay? Now usually with COVID or potential COVID patients, you see a little bit of craziness going on there because it's very hard for them to take in air, okay, and to express that air, which is where you would see some kind of fever response later as the disease progresses. At the bottom, the yellow one, the respiration wave, that's how easily he's breathing, okay? So it's very easy from this to detect that there's an issue. Very quickly, non-contact, remotely. Now, you good?
Yeah.
Cool. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to show you what happens when things go wrong, okay? It's very easy for me to do this. Yesterday I made Ilan run around for 10 minutes and then come and sit down. But this is basically what happens. You'll see very quickly if something isn't right because it will flash up in red on the screen. So the idea is that Tamar adds an extra layer of security, whether that's your health checks or your other types of security, in identifying the people who need possibly further checking. You then send them away and all is good, okay? We're gonna have questions in a little bit. I just want to do a quick demonstration. So. Okay.
So please sit down.
I will do this and not faint.
Okay.
All right.
So basically, we're gonna start the test, and I'll ask Felicity not to move. In a general information, again, as we spoke, the regular system you see around only has thermal reading, the temperature. Here we have a multi-layer, so the thermal camera reading the temperature, but the sensor, the main innovation sensor is this radar that actually senses the movement of the chest of Miss Felicity and actually the heartbeat. And you can see now she's playing with very fast breathing. For a second it was red because this is, I would say, some abnormal. You can set it up what other values are. And you can see it's actually measured as 25. We can make it automatically that will come up with green or red, whatever. This is set up by the operator. Okay, you good? You're
Yeah,
alive?
fine. I think so then.
Yes, so thank you so much.
Yes.
Anyhow, this is basically the Tamar, and if you have any more questions, please feel free.
Just a quick word while I catch my breath again.
Yeah.
So you can see it basically flagged that there's something not right. Unfortunately, thank God, I'm actually a very healthy person. Every time we do this with the Tamar, my stats are just so amazing. We have to really put a lot of effort in to make them not good. So basically the Tamar can be used in any application. It's already being rolled out worldwide. We have interest in airports, we have interest in hospitals. We've actually done several studies in Israeli hospitals in the past. Before I flew here, I actually went and installed it in 3 different hospitals. I'll say this up here because it's usually the most common question. People say, how can you use it in hospitals? This version of the Tamar is very, very basic, and where it goes from here, no one will know because it's so versatile and so, it just keeps growing with all the stuff we can do with it. Now, we're using it in hospitals in its non-medical sense, which means the Israeli COVID wards are kind of like wrapped up in cling film and like hazmat suits and everything. It looks like something out of a zombie film. So what they've done is they've put the Tamar at the entrance to the hospital so that people coming who might be infectious are going, getting scanned. If they're displaying possible COVID signs, they go to the right to get a COVID test and they get admitted to the ward. If they're just ill with something else, they go to the left, they're non-infectious and they're fine. And it seems to be a very effective way of doing things. But the Tamar can be put anywhere, from airports, to security checks once you're through baggage, anything really. I was even talking to someone earlier about putting it in a casino to detect cheating, instead of card counting. It's an easy way. You just point it at someone. Oh, are they doing something dodgy? Yes, let's investigate them a little bit further. So that's pretty much it with the Tamar. I'm happy to take any questions now, afterwards, if anyone has any questions. I see. Well, we can do it afterwards. That's fine. Okay. Thank you very much for listening, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Felicity. Thank you, Ilan. Next up is a explanation and demonstration of the Granada, the UVC disinfectant system that IAI has developed. And for that, I'd like to invite Mr. Asaf Tamir to do the explanation demonstration. Asaf.
Thank you, Ben. Hello, I am Asaf Tamir. I'm from the aviation group of Israeli Aerospace Industries. I come from an innovation background. I headed the innovation branch of the aviation group for the last 4 years or so. I'm an industrial designer by studies, so I come from a very multidisciplinary background, same as the organization I'm representing here. The interesting thing about technology, that's a quick overview, that it is only as good as your ability to deploy and use it, to put it into effect. And that was our notion where we began at the mid of last year to start to develop the Granada here. What you see here, of course, is an R&D, fully operational unit. It has all the capabilities, but it's still encapsulated in a box that can be altered, designed. You can still tinker with the technology inside. So we started scouting all the minds and picking all the visions of the engineers and the operational people and even test pilots, and we went into the wind tunnel testing facility to see what everybody thinks, what would be the best way to deploy this kind of technology. UVC has been known for quite a while to be effective against bacteria, but there are a lot of issues with using it and putting it to use in aircraft, in airports, terminals, businesses, and so on. So this is what we came up with. I want to share with you a small clip that we filmed here in Atlantic County, in this airport, in the facilities, trying to see how this works within actual operational environment. Because what we for sure knew, and that's why we are so happy with this collaboration here, is that you need to touch the field, you need to touch your clients, your users, to make this technology that we thought of effective and usable. Hi, my name is Asaf Tamir. I'm from Israeli Aerospace Industries, and I'm here to demonstrate the Granada, an adaptive mobile UVC disinfection unit for aircraft and for commercial aviation in general. This unit was designed and built to operate inside an aircraft in places where are surfaces used to prepare food, in the lavatories and so on, surfaces that are prone to infection and contamination with viruses and bacteria. It has all the components to operate by itself. It doesn't need to be connected to a power source. It has all the controls, all the safety mechanisms, and everything needed to be operated completely by its own. This unit here, as you can see, is a development unit, meaning it's slightly larger than the product will be at the end.
but it holds already all the technology, capabilities, and features that will be in a final product. We are using it to continuously upgrade, improve, and test it so it will suit the requirements of as many clients as possible. These mobile units, which may be distributed and placed in different places on the same aircraft or on the same area, can be triggered from a single place, from a cell phone, so a single person can operate, control, and make sure that all the areas are decontaminated. The nice thing about this is that each unit operates by itself, and if it senses that something is wrong, it will automatically kill the light and make sure nobody is harmed. Single press, all the parameters are being transmitted to the units. They are checking themselves. They are making sure that no people are around. This is the safety buzzer indicating to everybody to move away. And once everything is cleared, the units fire up. And if I want to just demonstrate how the safety works, it just kills the light if someone is moving around. As you can see, this is a mobile unit, meaning I can trigger it from the unit itself, not only by a mobile device. I can place it wherever I want. Once the correct code is inside or the sensors are programming the unit correctly, I press the button, press the trigger, put it inside, close the door. Once the safety sensors and the buzzers have confirmed that nobody is inside, then the unit will fire and finish its cycle as programmed. There's a lot to this unit that you don't see. The inside computer module, the connectivity, the wireless, the safety mechanism, the data and AI algorithms inside. However, you can see the arrays of UVC LEDs on the top. You can see the safety light. You can see the proximity sensors around the unit to make sure that no movement or activity is missed. There's the on-off switch, there's the safety switch, there's the keypad, which ensures that only people who knows the code and the activity parameters are allowed to use the unit. There's the mobile battery pack, which provides for many dozens of cycles between recharge, and everything is packed in a very robust and compact unit. Final product to be approximately 20 to 25% smaller than this one.
You'll have to excuse this handsome guy. He was a bit jet lagged when this film was shot, so I tried to make up. We had three key factors in mind when we designed and put this system into effect. One, there should be automation. It means that everything should run smoothly by itself. You don't want any operator mistakes. You don't want to specifically train and have like a Granada operators. This should be easily operated by flight attendants, by airport employees, casino workers, schools, whatever. It needs to automatically sense the environment, the surfaces around it that needs to be decontaminated, and adjust the exact amount of energy required to provide the necessary level of disinfection. Of course, completely safe. You actually cannot operate it where people are inside. UVC light is very harmful to bacteria and viruses, but also in great doses doesn't do any good for humans as well. So this unit cannot be operated. No matter how much you press the button, it will not fire when people are around it. So automation is the first thing. The second factor, the key factor, was streamlining it into the operational scenario of the workflow of the business or the body or the environment under which it needs to be operated. Meaning that if you have a business, if it's a school, it needs to be operated by itself in the cafeteria or in the classroom and allow for the normal day-to-day operations to carry on. If it's in an aircraft, the flight attendants need not have additional work in order to operate it. This needs to be seamlessly incorporated into the workflow of the business or the operation it works inside. And the third aspect that Granada is very good at is standardization and certification.
every time it operates, it measures the surfaces, it is looking at the amount of energy, the time it is irradiating. It logs all the information, sends it to the cloud, and then whoever is operating the Gonada can show first to itself that they're doing the good job, that they are actually taking the necessary steps in order to ensure the workers and the people in the business that they are safe and not in risk of contamination, and also to report back to authorities that these are the steps, actually metrics that being measured and then reported. These are the steps that we have taken in order to ensure the safety of our operation. And that's a great step from just saying that okay, one guy with a mop cleaned the stable 2 hours ago. Well, he probably did a good job, but this is not measurable. This is nothing that can be standardized and then measured towards certification. The units that you see here, there are two variants. This one is an actual UVC unit. It's activated, but the safety switch is off, meaning that it doesn't matter what I press, it will not irradiate. This is just for show, but it will emit once operated UVC light and disinfect whatever is in front of it. The two units that you see over there are white light units, same as the flash in your mobile phone. It doesn't do any harm. Just don't look at it because it's quite bright. They're interconnected. That's one of the features of this unit, meaning that a single operator can trigger one unit, and all the units that are connected to it or speaking with each other, each one will fire under the circumstances under which they are in at the moment. So this unit, looking here at the seats, will operate in a certain cycle time and intensity, and also the hemisphere and the orientation and configuration of the lamps, the LED light, allow it to radiate only in a certain direction. The other one will operate at full power, aiming at disinfection luggage coming out of the conveyor belt. So that's Eyal. Can we trigger the? All right. So Eyal triggered this one. The other one, they spoke to each other. The other one is triggered as well. The sensors now are trying to see whether there are people around. That's the safety buzzer. There's a 10-second. Okay, so you can see that this one is only projecting to this side, and I will now kill it. The other one still works because it doesn't see any people. So the lights are important. UVC decontamination is very important, but the connectivity and the sensoring capabilities of sensing the environment and then calibrating the energy and amount of energy, that's what makes this unit effective and highly deployable. Now, this is a pre-product demonstration, meaning the technology inside is already completely solved. What's left is to find the exact needs of different businesses and operational scenarios, repackage it in a form factor that will provide the best usage, and test it in the field. All right. Any questions, please? All right, good question. Practically speaking, this thing is strong enough to disinfect the conveyor belt on the other side of the room. All right, but because we thought that a mobile unit would be much more effective than the actual intensity, depends on how many cycles you need. If you wire it, then it works endlessly. But it works better when directed. You need to create a risk assessment of the work environment in your specific business. Say that this table is the greater source of decontamination. This area is where people are coughing or breathing on each other. If you want a unit that will also be strong enough to project enough energy to the other side, you'll put in a sensor that will see people over there. Units are also speaking to each other, so you can also make them speak. That unit can see people, and then tell this unit, listen, stop working. So the interconnectivity is very strong and one of the features that makes them very deployable and usable. Thank you. Any more questions? All right, we'll of course still stay here if somebody wants a demonstration or maybe handle it and punch a few numbers to see what comes out. we're here. We'll be glad to assist. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming out. Really appreciate your support. The team will be here if anybody has any questions you want to come up and chat. The press wants to take pictures. Please feel free. We'll be here for a while.